Hello everyone, welcome back. As you can see, I have a Sega Genesis controller here. Not the original one, obviously, because it does not have a cable to it, and it is briefly out of focus there. There we go. Look at that. Perfect clarity now. But yeah, this is with the new expansion pass they have, where you get the N64 and Genesis games, which are currently kind of small. I mean, I know the NES and the SNES started pretty small too, but these are definitely smaller than I would like. I would prefer for them both to at least have 15 or 20 games. That would have been much better. But either way, that's less about the service and more about the controller itself. How is it made? Is it sturdy? Is it nice and hefty? Unfortunately, sold out. That's one thing I can say right now. The N64 and the Genesis controller sold out basically immediately. Like, if you weren't paying attention, they were gone, which is what happened to me because I was watching it daily. And then I guess the few hours that I didn't check, they were on sale and then just vanished. And then the N64 and the Genesis controllers came back, and then the N64 one sold out within like minutes. And the Genesis controller actually lasted a few days, and now this one's sold out too. And just to be scumbags, the SNES one is sold out for some reason. I don't know why. That was just scalpers and resellers, just like, well, if you can't get the Genesis and N64, maybe you'll want the SNES one. So they went ahead and bought all those out too. Very annoying, but at least I'm glad I got the Genesis one. I'll have to wait until an unspecified time in 2022 for the N64 controller. So, that's unfortunate, but here we are. Now, this controller is actually interesting. The last time I used the real one was when I was like 4 years old. Because when I was a kid, I had the SNES and the Genesis. And I do have vague memories of playing certain games, like there was like a Batman and Robin game for the Sega, and there was also like I don't even know if it was like a tournament fighter, but it was like a Genesis version of like what you would assume that Battle for the Grid, that Power Rangers game, kind of like that kind of fighter where it's like one versus one. And I remember at the end you fight the Green Ranger because he summons the like Dragon Zord or whatever, and it scared me as a kid. So yeah, basically, my general experience with this controller is very limited. When I was a kid, I pretty much started on the N64 and like the PlayStation 1 era, so I kind of skipped over these. I was a little bit too young to fully remember everything about it. I had more time with the Game Gear than I did with the Genesis, to put it in perspective. Yeah, this controller is definitely very nice, I will say. As you can see, I have grown adult hands, and it fits pretty much perfectly. Oh, I hit the button there, so the light's lighting up. Out of the NES, the SNES, and the Genesis controller, I think this one is the best one. I'm very split. The SNES one is very nice as well, but as you can see by the shape of it, it has like a nice little ergonomic shape to it, which a lot of companies eventually just started going with this shape. Like the modern Xbox and PlayStation controllers, they're more similar to this one than they would be to the SNES and previous generations. Like in a line here, for instance, you have the NES controller, which is noticeably blocky. As you can see, it doesn't exactly sit comfortably in the hand. But I will say it is a nice controller. I do like it. But I mean, obviously, it's not very ergonomic. As you can see, it has awkward shapes. Your fingers kind of stick on the edges there while you're holding it. Your hand kind of holds it like that. And then they move to the SNES controller, which starts to get a much better feel to it. As you can see, there's no jagged points into any of my fingers there. It just neatly wraps around. Very nice, very ergonomic. And then I would say this one, I think it's the size mostly. Because the shape is nice. They both have similar shapes to it. And these were in the same generation. So while this was out kicking, this was also out kicking too. So yeah, you had them around at the same time. So they're definitely the closer analogs to be able to compare to each other. And yeah, they both have very ergonomic shapes. I will say if you were a younger kid, like a smaller kid with little hands, this one would definitely be better. This one for a kid is probably a little bit bulky. Like if you're like 3 or 4 years old, I don't think you'd be able to hold it like this. You'd probably like hold it around the edges and your fingers would be like reaching the B button. So yeah, I will say if you were younger, this one would be a lot more ergonomic. This one, a little bit more made for adult hands, which is very nice because, I am an adult. So this one is more for my liking. So yeah, as far as the recreation of the controller, it's obviously very good. As you can see with all of their controllers, they pretty much perfectly mimicked it. The only additions were like up here you have the L and R button. So you can do things like rewinding or taking screenshots or, using the home button and stuff like that. Which obviously if you played the Nintendo Online without something like this, it'd be very awkward. And then here you have all the normal buttons as usual, but then you also have like a ZR and ZL up there. So these are obviously for these screenshots and going home as well. This one is actually nice though, because it comes with its own designed screenshot button and a home button. So like this one, you can only use the home and the screenshot button in the NES app. And then this one here, you can only use it in the SNES app. This one actually has a just regular screenshot and a regular home button. So these can be used outside of the Genesis app as well, which is very nice, but the controls are very limited, and I'll explain why. This right here, I think this is L or ZL, and then this right here is either R or ZR. So that's basically how it works. You have A, B, and then like L and R pretty much. And then your start button, and then you have a home and screenshot button. Obviously your little pad over here. So if you're using the designed Genesis app, it's actually very good. It's made exactly for that. You have this button up here. This is how you open like the menu, and how you, if you hold it down, you can rewind, stuff like that. So you have on the old controllers where you'd push both buttons on the top, and it would open up like a little in-game menu where you can save, restore points, and hold them down to rewind. This one is just built into the mode button. So you click it to open up the menu, and then you hold it down to be able to rewind to a certain point. But the only problem is it works as it should in the Genesis expansion, where it's like this is A, this is B, this is C. But if you go to something like the Sega Genesis collection or something like that, it's the one with 30 games in it. This does not work as it's supposed to. And obviously this is a new controller, so you wouldn't expect them to update it that quickly. However, they did make a controller before this one, which is this one here, that's based on the 6-button configuration. And this one can actually be used on anything. You can use this on the Xbox, the PlayStation, on the Switch. You just have a little adapter that you plug into each one. But yeah, you would think on the Genesis for Switch or whatever system you have it on, that they would have an option in the controls for this controller specifically, because it's a licensed Sega controller. So you'd think they would go, oh yeah, we have a collection for this. Let's design this controller to work with the collection. And then to a lesser extent this one, but because it's newer, I kind of give them a little more leeway on that one. But to bring in another controller to further explain how silly this is, on the Sega Genesis collection, this right here, this is not A, B, and C. To explain, this is A, this is B, and this is C. Now the controllers are designed exactly as they look. So if you're going through the menus, this is A, this is B, this is X, this is Y, and those all work as they should on like the Switch Home and other Switch games. And then this, like previously, this is ZL and this is ZR. And then they actually have L and R on the back, which is pretty nice. But basically, what that means is that if this is A, this is B, and this is C, then that means over here that this is C, this is B, and this is ZR. This isn't even A. This up here, the Y button, that's A. So if you're playing the Sega Genesis collection, this is A, B, and C, like that. And if you think that's awkward, yes, it is incredibly awkward to do it like that. So while it is doable, if you keep it in your mind that, this is A, this is B, and this is C, you can kind of program the games how you want. Like, let's say you're playing Castlevania or something like that. You can make this jump, this attack, and then this be your item. So it's like, it's a little more, streamlined, but it is incredibly confusing when you're just playing on the fly, and you have to quickly hit A or whatever to jump or attack, and instinctively you're like, oh, hit A. But it's like, no, this isn't A, this is A. So yeah, it can be very confusing. And then the downside of this one is that there is no Y button anywhere on the controller. So for games that have the 3-button configuration, whereas here it would be A, B, and C, on the Genesis controller here, it's just C and B. That's it. That's all you're able to use. So games that require you to hit A, you're just out of luck. If you're playing like a Castlevania or something like that on the Genesis collection, you don't have access to the A button, which is very unfortunate. And very confusing once again, because you have the A button here, but this is not an A button, this is a Y button. So yeah, to avoid confusion and just move these two controllers out of the way, if you don't want to play the Genesis collection and just do the expansion pass, then yes, you are perfectly fine here. But that's just, if you want to go into the other games that are Sega Genesis games, technically speaking, like you have the Contra collection or you have the Castlevania collection that have like their own little collections of games, which you can use this controller fine for. Like this one works perfectly fine if you're playing the NES like Castlevania, or if you're playing the SNES Castlevanias, again, works perfectly fine. The only outlier are the two Sega controllers, which are kind of annoying, honestly. Which in a way can be excused by the fact that the C button doesn't exist on any of the Nintendo controllers, But I mean, they could have at least mapped it to be like the Y button or something like that. The fact that it's like R or ZR, I mean, that's so out of the way that most games just won't be able to account for that. So yeah, all of that preamble aside, I'm going to go ahead and get into some of the actual gameplay with the controller so you can get a nice feel of how it works in the game. I'll probably go through like 3 or 4 just quick little segments so that way you can, kind of see it in action. Even though you won't be able to see my hands, but you'll be able to see the gameplay with the controller and just take my word that I'm using it. So let's go ahead and into that section now. Alright, as you can see, they have a pretty good selection here, but one thing I will say that's kind of odd is the choices they make are kind of sporadic. Like you'll see here, they have Shinobi 3, but none of the other Shinobi games, and then they have Sonic 2, but none of the other Sonic games. I mean, you have the Dr. Robotnik's thing, but it's weird how they do the releases. Like right here, Streets of Rage 2, but no Streets of Rage 1. It's very bizarre. I'm not really sure I get behind that entirely. Like this one's the worst example, Phantasy Star 4. Which I get it, they're like the most popular ones, but very strange. Very strange that they don't do it in chronological order. But anyway, going to show off how they operate with the controller here. Now, you obviously won't be able to see me using the controller, but just know that I am in fact using it. And I will say on all of these, it works. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it works the way it's meant to work, shockingly. Like, if you were to play this with a Switch Pro controller or the, Super Nintendo controller, you could obviously still do it. But there is just something nice about using the actual controller. That's one thing I always thought was nice about the NES and the SNES controller, because you can go back and play the classic games as they were meant to play, and you really do notice a difference. Like, a lot of people, they emulate games on the PC, which you can do with a keyboard, which I've done in the past, and it's kind of annoying. So I really, if I can not use a keyboard, I will. Because games like this, I mean, you can use the arrow key in like A or B or something, or A or S since they're next to each other, as like A and B. But it feels awkward. It feels very strange. It's not as awkward as, like, let's say using an Xbox controller to play Super Mario Brothers or something. But there definitely is a noticeable difference. Like, the D-pad on the Sega controller, it just feels very nice. And it feels different from a lot of the D-pads. Like, I don't even know what kind of modern example you can compare it to. Because it's very much so, it's like a circle and like a cross. It's just weird how it works the way it does. Because when you touch it, it's like, it feels a little bit like a cross between like spongy and firm, where you can just kind of move in like, 8 directions. Very circular with the way you move the D-pad. So yeah, it's very nice. Definitely lends itself to classic games like this one here. Alright, a little quick run through Sonic there. Let's go over to, let's do Shinobi 3. Definitely the starting point in the franchise. Weren't any games prior to this one. Alright, here we are. Yeah, that is one thing Sega was always good at, which I'm doing some kind of magical spell back there. Yeah, one weird thing too is that C is the default jump for a lot of these games, and frankly, I don't understand why. It's very odd. You would logically think that A is the jump button. But yeah, a lot of these, they use C instead. Like, I was noticing that with Gunstar Heroes as well. But yeah, anyway, that's one thing I will say about a lot of these Sega games, is that graphically, I mean, going from the NES to this is just night and day. And even some of the SNES stuff, like, you compare Mario to something like this, I mean, the graphics here are just insane looking. Especially when you consider the time it came out in. There's just a lot of nice visual stylings going on, like all the trees in the background. Oh, I went into a Naruto run there for... Oh, it's you double tap it. Yeah. Yeah, this guy is cool. Yeah, I went to go press A to jump, and it started activating some kind of special ninja power. I was like, oh, it's definitely not what I wanted to do. But yeah, much like the previous game, this one feels nice. Feels very fluid. Yeah, see, look at this. Just visually, these games look so cool. Oh, got a little boss fight here. Oh, okay. Yeah, get out of here, samurai. Shit. Ooh, oh my god. Thing comes out so fast. There we go. Die. I guess it's not a boss, it's just a shielded enemy. Oh, we got another one here. Oh. Yeah, I like how in this game, when you get closer, you start doing a melee attack. Oh, now we're talking. Now we got a boss here. It's cool what a lot of them were able to do with just 3 buttons. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh, just stun locked him there. Nice, 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 nice. Alright, so it's a nice little showing there. Let's move on. Show off some Altered Beast. This is another good one. One thing that Sega was also a little bit better at doing was taking arcade games and making them ported over the console a lot better. Like, if you look at some of the ports for the NES and maybe even some of the SNES games, they just look not right. There's just something very wrong about them. But I will say, like, with Golden Axe and stuff like that, I think the Sega was a lot better at porting over those arcade games. Like, I think, I don't know if it was the SNES or if it was the NES. I doubt it was the NES, but their Mortal Kombat on the SNES just looks very strange. Like, there's a lot of, like, the colors look kind of off. It looks very weird when compared to the arcade. Like, obviously, the arcade of Altered Beast looks better than this. But still a nice little port. Still does its job. I like how this guy, by the way, is like a beat-em-up, and he's just going around just leg kicking everybody. It's not exactly what you'd think is like, wow, look at this badass guy just going through, just kicking everybody in the leg. I'm assuming that was a power-up that I just let go free. It seems like that's the only thing this guy can do. Maybe there's a... Oh, shit. Oh, okay, so if you press A... See, again, weirdly enough, you press C, bam, you jump in the air. It's like, it's very odd. It's just not... It's not very intuitive. I mean, maybe they just didn't want to be like Nintendo, but some of the games do jump with the A button, so it's very, very bizarre. Very weird choice. Although I do like the kicking, though. I just kind of want to keep leg kicking everybody. Oh, and I'm dead. Oh, okay, alright, I'm back alive. Come on, you son of a bitch. What is up with these guys? This is like a boxing match where somebody has like 8 inches of reach on me. It's ridiculous. Can't even get close enough to hit. Look at that. Look at his wingspan. It's so much higher than mine. Oh, alright. Jump in! I guess that's how you have to do it. You just have to jump and kick that guy. Leg kicking for the win. Oh, alright. Well, and I'm dead. Alright, let's show off one final game here. You know what? Castlevania is always a good option. Let's show off some Castlevania. Yeah, see, this one's even odder. You have attack is A, jump is B, and then item is C. It's just so weird. It's weird how these games do their controls. I mean, granted, you can adjust them, but it's strange that those are the default. And that is one thing that is nice, is that Sega, a lot of their games, you can adjust the controls, which is very cool. Not a lot of the NES games, and not even really a lot of the SNES games did that. But it seems like almost every Sega game, or at least all the popular ones, they all let you change the control scheme. Yeah, see, this here, too, is just another thing. Sega was just so good at making use of, like, the ability they had. These games would fit on, like, a tiny, tiny little flash drive today, but what they were able to get away with such short limitations. Very cool, very cool. Oh, did that thing hurt me? Did some weird shaking thing when I went to go pick it up. Yeah, Castlevania is one of those series. I bought I think it's called like the Legacy Collection or the Legendary Collection or something like that. But it has all of the classic... I've also got the Contra one too. But it has all the classic games on there. It has like Dracula... Oh, shit. What is it, like Castlevania? It was either Castlevania or Dracula X. It's something weird like that. But yeah, they have some of the obscure ones like Kid Dracula. They have all the classics like Castlevania 1, 2, and 3. I think they have 4 on there as well. They might also have Bloodlines. Can't exactly remember which ones they have. Yeah, those games have a reputation for a reason. They are quite hard. Oh, shit. Get out of here. Yeah. Be gone with you. Yeah, it just does. It feels right. The controller feels right when you play in the classic games that it was meant for. Pretty sure there's a little secret down there. But I am not doing an official run here. So forget that secret. There's also an annoying guy right here. Ugh. Little eyeball. Yeah, see, look at that. Get out of here. Oh, what do we got here? We got a secret here. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, down here you have some annoying-ass enemies. That is one thing a lot of these classic games had, where I imagine Dark Souls took some inspiration, because they'll just have enemies that are so damn annoying. Like, you'll be walking on a platform or something, and they'll have a skeleton just come out and knock you off it. These guys are like that. If they hit you, it's going to knock you back, and it is not very fun. Luckily, I got a nice little item here. Oh, shit. As I was making my escape, they come out. Look at that, they just keep coming. And if you get caught in like a stun lock or something like that, they'll just knock you backwards in the water. It's very annoying. I'm pretty sure... Oh, shit. Let's try to hit that thing there. I was pretty sure there's a way you could do diagonal whips, but I guess not. Oh, look at you over here. Look at you. Oh, nope, nope. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the gameplay. Just kind of... Oh, the little boss with a wolf up here. Show that off. I'm probably going to die during it, though. Okay, so I guess you can only do the diagonal while you're jumping. Oh, and you can even hit down, too. Ow. Oh my god, you bats. I'm dead. I'm going to die here. Whoop. Yeah, see, look at that thing. Look how cool that thing looks. It's definitely one thing Sega always had the advantage over, was just how... Oh, died from the glass breaking. Just how cool their artwork looks. Alright, so I'll go ahead and stop it right there, just kind of showing you how the gameplay works with the controller. Gonna go ahead and jump back to the live action section now. Alright, now time for the final verdict with the box that I realistically should have had the first time as well. Because it is a really cool box that it comes in. Like, the backside is like the typical red and white that you get in the other ones. But the Genesis one has a black front. It's very cool. But yeah, anyway, so generally how you rate these, it's kind of rough when it's like one of the old controllers, because you don't really, like, are you rating it on the controller itself as it was, like, what, in the 90s? Or its recreation, or its usage today? So it's like, if you were to create it on a recreation, I mean, yeah, it's a 10. It looks exactly like the old one. It feels exactly the same when you get the focus on there, because it's not for some reason. Focus. Come on now. So yeah, if you were to rate it on like its historical accuracy, I would just say, yeah, a 10. It's exactly as it should be. But if you were to, I would say not exactly rate it to modern standards, because that would be insane. Like comparing this to a PS5 or Series X controller, obviously they would all win, and this would get like a 4 out of 10 or something like that. But realistically, if you compare it even to modern controllers, I mean, you hold it side by side, because here's the grip that you have on a Sega Genesis controller. You know, very sturdy, ergonomic, very comfortable. Compare that to today's grip, where, as you can see, same thing. Hands are about same width apart. Very comfortable, sturdy, once again. And include the Sony, because why not? You also, same thing. Very sturdy, very wide. It's got nice good feel to it. So you compare that with the classic Genesis controller, and yeah, it still holds up. I mean, obviously it has the 3-button layout, and most Sega games really only use 2 of them, where one of them will sometimes either be just a repeat of the same button, or like an additional item, like in Castlevania or something like that, where you have like jump, attack, and then your item that you can use. So yeah, if I were to rate it as a whole, I would say, I mean, I would just have to give it a 9 out of 10. It does what it's supposed to. It's very comfortable. The buttons are very smooth. It has a nice feel to it when you click down the D-pad. You have a nice response on the buttons. You have the addition of the screenshot button and the home button. As I mentioned, you can use that in anything, so it's not just tied to the Sega Genesis app. Then you have the little mode button on the side, which I think this is like ZL or something like that. I know these two are like ZR and ZL. The orientation, I would imagine this is ZL. Yeah, either way, just a very solid controller. Anytime I play a Sega game, I always use this one. It is a no-brainer. And if you can find them, which apparently they're back in stock now in the times that I was recording this video, because I recorded it in 3 parts, obviously. Yeah, I guess they're back in stock now. For who knows how long, the N64 controller is still out of stock, which I will definitely be doing a review on when it does come in. But yeah, so anyway, that's it for the Genesis controller. Not exactly sure what's up next. I am going to try to review the stuff that I have on me. Like currently I'm wearing the Digimon Vital Bracelet right now, which is actually a pretty cool little device there. So yeah, I've got a lot of things that I should probably be reviewing, because I have them and I don't really say anything about them. So it'd probably be a good idea just to get those out there. Yeah, anyway, don't know what's next, but probably be a stream or maybe another video like this. Who knows? Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.